Hello, everybody. I wanted to give a quick content warning at the beginning of this episode. Midway through, maybe a little past midway through this episode, I recite the lyrics to a song that are pretty raunchy. I know I label all my episodes as explicit, but I still want to put a content warning just in case anyway. So, with that said, on with the episode. On this episode is still loading.
It couldn't possibly be as adorable as yours truly.
Who cares, Akis? I'm the one her Heinekes makes video chip cookies for.
And I'm the one she reads mega bedtime stories to.
I'm her favorite.
Our Naughty she likes the best
stories.
stories. Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Still Loading podcast. I am your host, Josh Koval, and today on the show, it is Season 2 of Captain N. We are kicking off Season 2 with a bang, a game bang? That was a bad pun. We're not going to go with that. But we're going to be talking about the first episode of Season 2 of Captain N. It is just simply called Game Boy. It came out on September 8th, 1990. It was written by Dorothy Middleton. So long, Jeffrey Scott. We wanted you on the show, but you missed your chance. We still love you. We'd still love to have you on the show, Jeffrey. Please come on the show. We love you. But we have now we have a new writer. We've cheated on you with a new writer. Her name's Dorothy Middleton, and we're not going to really get to know her long because there's two writers in the next episode, and neither of them are her. So we're going to see how that works out. But this first episode is called Game Boy. And before we dive into the episode, of course, my co-host with the Mo-host, Dexter. Dexter, how are you doing today?
I'm here. Hey, everybody.
You, Dexter, have been looking forward to this episode for quite some time. Am I right?
I have. This is the episode that is the freshest in my brain because I actually own the VHS copy of this episode back when you could sell one episode of a thing for like $20 or whatever. I'm sure I got it in like a $5 bin, but still, like, that's one episode. You get like one episode on like iTunes and stuff for like 99 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But we closed out season 1 with a big guest, and we're beginning season 2 with a big guest, Eric from the Let's Get YouTube channel. Eric, how are you doing today?
I'm hungover. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing much better than that. I was saying off mic, my daughter won't poop, but I'm sure the audience would love to hear all about the bowel movements of an infant. I'm
actually
sure
looking forward to the hungover perspective of Captain N.
Yep. Hungover cast, Captain N style. So let's dive into this. What was the first thing that you all know? Like, what's one of the biggest things you all noticed from this episode? Dex, we'll start with you, and then we'll move over to Eric, and we'll end with me. So, Dex, what's one thing that you really stuck out to you from this episode?
I think it's like the perspective of being a kid and watching this show, and then being an adult and watching this show was very, very obvious this particular episode because it's clearly been super commercialized with Game Boy coming in. But as a kid, I was like, oh, Game Boy, yes, of course, give me more of that. Now as an adult, I'm like, we've jumped the shark. We've added Game Boy, and now we're 13, 14 episodes in, and we've jumped the shark. We've jumped the Game Boy.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like they jumped the shark in the first episode. I mean, there's not much going on. This show jumps the shark pretty fast. Eric, what about you? What stuck out about this episode to you? Just
that Game Boy's a jerk, and somehow they just come together. Like, yeah, we gotta save him. Like, why? He's been a jerk from the beginning. Just leave him. He gets abducted. All right, whatever.
I mean, you had to stop him because he's supposedly the most powerful computer in Videoland, but it doesn't mean you have to like him. Like, he was an asshole. Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that. For me, it actually perfectly leads into the beginning of this episode. So I'm going to save mine for when we get to it. It's early on in the episode, like super early on, within like the first 2 minutes. The episode begins with Lana trying to rescue her father, which, by the way, Dex, did you know her dad was named Charles?
I was going to say that. I was going to read the back of
It's the
the
first time they've
VHS
named.
box here.
She just calls him father in the entirety of the first season.
Yeah,
Never
and
gives him a
the
first name. He's
king.
just the king or father. No
Yeah.
idea his name was Charles. That was
Did you
new
also
to me.
notice the new intro?
Yes, it has a new intro. I don't like it as much.
No, they shortened it considerably. They removed the map of Videoland where in like introducing all the different worlds, they show Megaland and Mount Icarus and
Congo
Congoland.
Land, as Kevin says.
They take all that out and they start with a narration from Lana talking about that the king is gone. And that
the story that they never paid attention to in the first season. Now it's like, this is the intro of the second season.
Yeah. And then she's like, I was skeptical when I first met Kevin. I was like, I saw the first episode. I don't think you were skeptical. I think it was everyone else that was skeptical. You lied to me. You are a lying narrator.
They added Game Boy also to the intro of the show, like, because obviously he's
Totally
going to be a
spoiling
recurring character for the rest of the season. But Lana is trying to rescue King Charles with an interdimensional warp that opens up every 1,000 video years. What's a video year? Anybody have an answer for this?
I have no idea.
I'm guessing it goes by the seconds, because aren't the seconds different in the original Super Mario Brothers? Like, those are different lengths.
I don't know.
Maybe that's
actually,
a video second.
And speaking of seconds, though, if you notice, the wide shot of there's a countdown of like how long the interdimensional warp opens, it stays open for, or when it opens. On the wide shot, it shows 12 minutes. When it's zoomed in, it's down to 4 minutes. And later on, in a different wide shot, a couple moments later, it's 22 minutes. There's no continuity at all.
That's a video year. We just witnessed a video year.
It's all over the place.
It's clearly just 2020 through 2021. It's the 2 years that no one will ever remember. We just lost it. But this leads me to the thing that stuck out to me in this episode. It's a big continuity error, and it's not the continuity error I just mentioned with the time issues. It's Mega Man. Mega Man, the end of season 1, Eric. Because I don't expect you to watch this show or torture yourself with it. The end of season 1, the whole premise of the finale is that Mega Man wants to be human. He hates being a robot, and he wants to be human. And spoiler alert, at the end of the episode, he becomes human. The first thing he does in this episode is get a key that comes out of his fingertip like a robot, and he inserts it into a machine and twists it.
Like a real boy.
What? Yeah, like a
real boy.
Like a real boy. I was so mad at this. Not really, but yeah, I was a little upset that they broke like the whole. That was a big arc for Mega Man in that last episode, and that
goes back to our conversation in that episode that we think that they changed the ending last minute. I don't think that he was ever supposed to become a real boy at the end.
No,
and that for some reason they got executive notes that were like, this episode would be pointless if they go all this way and he doesn't become a real boy. Make him a real boy, and then they just ignored that after the fact, I guess.
I don't want to rehash that episode because we just did it, but man, they really dropped the ball with it. Now, apparently, though, with season 2, this was aired in an hour-long block, and it shared an episode, or the other half of the hour was with Super Mario Brothers 3. So, Dexter, maybe we should start up a Super Mario 3 rewatch.
Nice.
I think you're right. I think we'll have to do that.
Just to torture ourselves with it.
Or The Legend of Zelda. I'm willing to do that as well.
So then Princess Lana's father, he's able to like buzz in somehow. They call in on whatever that video phone is, and Lana's so excited to see him, and he's just like, I'm sending you Game Boy. I don't care. I'm not coming through the war.
Deal with this guy. He's fun.
I think he can be the savior of the realm. And I like how it cuts over to Kevin. It cuts over to Kevin, where he it's like, oh, well, I thought I was the savior of the realm or something like that. Like it's very clear, like they're trying to pit those two to get against each other, and they never really do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the king's even like, he's like a son to me, talking about Game Boy, which didn't make any sense by the end of the episode either. But
Yeah, and what did she say? Something that she's just like, oh, I think it'd be, I guess my dad's not coming back, but at least I could have like a little brother. And then like for whatever reason, Kevin's like, what? And he falls out of his chair. Like she just suggested, let's have a kid together or something like that. Instead, it's just like, oh, I'm gonna have, Game Boy's gonna be my little brother. That's it.
She adjusts remarkably well to the fact that her father, that she's lost for the last like 2 years, 6 months, whatever it is still not coming back. And she's like, oh, well, I have a brother now, a little brother, so it's fine. I don't know who says it. I think it's Simon who says it to Princess Lana. He says, cheer up your sadness.
Yeah.
Dorothy, Mrs. Middleton. What?
like instead of highness, your sadness.
Your sadness, yeah.
Not a good joke. Not a good joke.
Many not a good jokes. Just so many not great puns, but
no,
they're charming in that way, I guess.
Well, I rewatched the first episode. I rewatched the episode again this morning with my daughter. Actually, I subjected my daughter to this. And one thing I noticed this time that I didn't notice when I was watching it the first time is that King Hippo punches himself in the face.
Yeah.
He goes, at your service, my main brain, and goes to salute. And I'm not gonna lie, the sound, like, that was actually legit funny. The sound effect was perfect. The animation was pretty good. Though, do you guys think the animation was rough in this episode? Like, Dexter, especially since you've seen all of last season, does it seem a lot like worse than the first season?
There definitely felt like there was a lot more happening, if that makes sense. A lot more to animate.
Mm-hmm.
But there were small moments that were really well done, where they clearly were given to someone that was like, here, animate these 5 seconds. Here, animate these 2 seconds. There were some moments that looked really good, but yeah, on the whole, it was a little rough.
Does not look great. And now we get to, so she acknowledged she's going to have a baby brother. She gets really excited. She's going to prep his room. And when did all the heroes of Videoland become super whiny? Because all of a sudden, all of them, with the exception of Kevin, who realistically would be the one that it seemed like they were trying to pit them against each other, but they never really do. They all start getting really like whiny about it. Like Simon's depressed because now it's someone distracting the princess's attention away from him again. Kid Icarus, did you catch what Kid Icarus said?
I don't remember.
She makes video chip cookies with me.
Oh yeah.
And Mega Man goes, she reads mega bedtime stories to me.
Which, I mean, he talks, and then that's just real bad. Well, I mean, I don't know, like, I didn't see the last episode. I guess what are the attributes of a real boy? But I mean, he's still just the worst voice ever.
Yeah.
The only thing that it really seems in that last episode that really makes him a real boy is that he has a beating heart now. That's it.
Oh,
that's it. It doesn't talk about making his metal body flesh or anything like that. He just has a heart. He has a human heart.
I mentioned last time as well, like, because he's like, I don't like celebrating my birthday. It reminds me I'm a robot. I was like, not your terrible voice. Your voice every day doesn't remind you.
I remember this. Like, did you listen to Sharky Retronauts back in the day?
I still listen to Retronauts. I haven't listened to I never got to listen to their pre-independent run. When they were on One Up, I never got to listen to those though.
Yeah, it was like Sharky made a comment about that. He said he sounds like a smoker. He's like, get equipped with emphysema or something like that. It killed me. Every time I hear his voice, that's like all I can think of. It's just like, why did they make that decision?
It's the same thing with Kid Icarus. With why did they add him to say Icus on everything? And now
I
if you
think
say
about the
get
show,
equipped with emphysema, that sounds almost like Kid Icarus plus Mega Man combined into this like Mega Man.
I think about this show way more than I really should. And the only answer I could come up with is that because he looks like a boy, and since he's Mega Man, that was like the compromise between an argument
I'm
between
Mega Boy.
creators.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mega Boy.
Yeah,
It's
Not a
such an
robot.
awful. I'm not a real
definitely.
boy. Like what? I mean, like what? Never mind. I was about to make. I was going to say what part of him would grow if he was like Pinocchio, but then I did not intend to go down a direction. My actual joke was like, would his metal nose grow? Would his metal hands grow? But if I just say what part of him grows, everyone's mind's going to go to the same place, and
His
it's all in the
Buster
gutter.
His
gun.
key
His
finger.
Buster gun, yeah,
Yeah.
his foot, clearly.
Yeah, his finger with the key.
So then they go to rescue Game Boy from this. He keeps saying space capsule, but then they say it's a satellite. So I thought that was kind of weird that they just switched it up there. But it's a satellite, and Mother Brain decides that, okay, I'm going to send King Hippo and Eggplant Wizard to go, beat them to the punch, get Game Boy, so that way I can program him for evil. And that's where King Hippo punches himself in the face. It's
Beat him to the
hilarious. Go
punch.
watch it.
That was good.
Yes,
It
he
was a
called
good
Mother
punch.
Brain. You got it, my main brain.
Main brain. Yeah.
That seems to be like the running joke they've been going for a while now, since like the last, like, I would say midway through season 1, they started having King Hippo call Mother Brain my main brain or something, like just brain puns, which is better than Kevin. At least they give him somewhat of a catchphrase. In the first couple episodes of the show, Eric, they do Kevin's big thing is he's like, something will happen and he'll go, what a concept, and that was like his catchphrase for a little bit. Like,
What?
that's all it was. He's like, it would be, this doesn't happen in the episode, but let's say he jet ski or he water skis, but instead of skis, it's like he uses like, oh, I don't know,
An
like tree
alligator.
branches or something like that, instead of like actual water skis. Like, tree branch water skis, what a concept. It would be
Wow.
something like that. And they really tried to make that stick for about 4 episodes, and then you'd never see it again.
Like they don't. That does not test well. Just throw an "excuse me, princess" in there. That'll kill.
That's pretty
Something
much
bad.
it.
The kids will love it.
What's weird too, man, is that so Jeffrey Scott wrote the entirety of the first season. He also is the creator of Muppet Babies, which is just crazy to think about. But okay, so Simon and Kevin they're going to rescue Game Boy. King Hippo and Eggplant Wizard going to capture Game Boy. I was confused how Kevin and Simon are breathing in space, because at least King Hippo and Eggplant Wizard have like a little dome on their little spacecraft. They're just riding like a land speeder through space with just nothing. I mean, I understand it's a cartoon, but I do think it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like that's
Video
something
space.
It's
Video space. That's what it is. Like the video years. You don't know what to think in video world or land.
How many video years is that?
Yeah, like light years. Video. Something. I don't know.
Do you go? He's going faster than the speed of video.
What a concept.
So they go after them, and Eggplant Wizard starts King Hippo says, attack them, and Eggplant Wizard goes, with veggie pleasure.
Yeah. As if there's any other kind. I mean,
I'm going to start using that every time I have for dinner. Every time we eat vegetables for dinner, like, hun, my wife will be like, hun, do you want green beans for dinner? Like, with veggie pleasure. And then I'll get a divorce.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm leaving you.
Yeah, exactly. Just immediate response.
So they start shooting, Eggplant Wizard starts shooting carrots. It's corn, but it looks like carrots. It's like, it's like orange corn. It's very weird. And then they
shucked corn. Yeah.
They pull back because apparently that's too much. They can't handle the corn, and they go back around the other side of the ship, and they start pulling a Beverly Hills Cop and trying to stuff their exhaust pipe with corn. And it's the most ridiculous visual because it's just a pile of corn just sitting on this metal slab in space. And in the shot where you see it gradually fill up, it looks like it's covering a large area. And then when it cuts back, when it's not like the zoomed in shot of it, the pile looks like it's maybe covering like a small speck on the floor of this exhaust pipe. But then they go to turn, the heat makes the popcorn pop, of course, because logic. Of course, that corn was popcorn.
Corn becomes popcorn.
and it fills up their, even though it probably would have just shot out backwards, of course it fills up their whole spacecraft, and then they don't get to kidnap Game Boy, at least not yet. So they do rescue Game Boy, and I believe the voice of Game Boy is Frank Welker, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Slimer himself. Yes.
Frankie.
Oh wow.
I did not like the voice of Game Boy. What did you guys think?
Mm-mm. It was right up there with our buddy Mega Man.
right?
No.
Yeah.
And I
It
feel
is
like
not.
they always give Frank Welker the tag along character because he did Slimer, he
Mm,
does Game Boy. He's now Scooby Doo, and he was Jabberjaw, and so like,
he
he's
was
used to
Jabber.
being the character that hangs out with the normal people.
Now I'm curious. I'm pretty sure. So
When
the
he was the
voice of Doctor.
Pegasus, he was the Pegasus in Dungeons and Dragons because our last guest said that when he asked him if he could still do that voice, he was like, "Yeah," and he just like whipped
Wow.
out the Pegasus from Dungeons and Dragons.
That's so nuts, man. Gabe is just like he's a fount of animation history knowledge. Like he just, you name a show and he'll probably have at least known something about it or worked with someone with it. Yeah, so Game Boy voiced by Frank Welker. I really don't like Game Boy's voice. No offense to Frank Welker. He's an iconic voice actor.
He's doing the stereotypical like I am a robot, but
Right.
like a childish voice for our listeners that
Mhm.
haven't seen the episode yet. So
It's a boy. Game
It's
Boy.
he's the real boy.
he's the real boy.
Yeah.
Sort of. But so they put batteries in Game Boy, and Game Boy clearly likes to play games.
Where
That's
did they
supposedly
get?
his.
Are
So
they giant AA batteries, or is
it's
it
true.
like
Where'd they get
thousands of
those?
little AA batteries? That was the first thing I wondered when.
It seemed like two giant AA
Yeah.
batteries. Though I would have loved them to just like pour a bucket, like a tub of like AAA batteries or AA batteries into his back and be like, I hope these fit together.
Then like a real Game Boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a real
I was gonna say that's bad marketing. Kids, you're just gonna go through so many batteries with this thing. Parents are like, I'm not buying you that.
I mean, this is no Game Gear.
Yeah, that's
Just
true.
burn through batteries. I wrote down on my note though, like why the F is Game Boy such a bizarrely bad person? Like why is he just it's so strange that he just, it's one thing. I think they were trying to go with the vibe of he's mischievous,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they don't nail that at all. He just seems like
No,
he's an asshole.
I
Yeah, on
honestly
purpose.
think this is a Deke cartoon, just like the real Ghostbusters. I really think that they were like, let's add a Slimer character. Like he works for the Ghostbusters, but it works for Ghostbusters because they are busting ghosts. So of course he's mischievous ghost, But when you translate that to Game Boy, like what? Wait, what? Like it doesn't quite make sense in the logic of the show.
It really doesn't. And the fact that it's, I think what's strange is that he's just evil to other people. Like he chases Kid Icarus with a fighter jet.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Tries to shoot him.
we all were kind of hoping he would succeed though, with all the Icarus and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Now we get to the scene though, so that they chase after Game Boy. I keep wanting to say Mega Boy. They chase after Game Boy, and he's being all mischievous, and he jumps into Burger Time. He jumps into another warp zone, and it happens to be Burger Time. Now, Dexter, I think this should be the thumbnail for this episode, where Simon has egg on his face, and he's just an egg. Ha ha ha. Like not an awful joke, admittedly, but then there's pickle Mega Man, and then Kevin is a hot dog, and I kind of love those designs. They're just insane. And Simon says, "I've got an egg on my face," and then Kevin goes. He almost captures Game Boy, but then Game Boy gets a one up on him by putting pepper on him, and Kevin goes, "I haven't played this game in a while. I forgot about the pepper."
The only mechanic. That's how you freeze the bad guys. But the thing that's funny about that is like that's like your only move in that
Exactly.
game. So like, how could you forget that?
How could you forget about the pepper?
That's like playing Mario and be like, I forgot you could jump.
That's actually impressive then, because that's one of the few times they've incorporated the gameplay mechanics in
Yeah.
this show in an actually interesting way.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this and maybe that's why I remember Captain N being so amazing as a kid because this was the one I saw the most, and they actually got Burger Time right for the most part. Like, and I just figured like they're all like this. They definitely don't give Dracula a mullet, and a yellow zoot suit.
They d- they definitely don't make everyone on Mount Icarus speak with the same speech impediment that Kid Icarus does. No.
Oh gosh,
Why would they
yeah,
do that?
Why? Yeah.
yes.
And then Simon has a great quote after Kevin gets pepper on him, and he goes, "Stand back. This calls for some whippersnapping."
Yeah. Never heard it used that way, but all right, I know what you're
I've
doing
never.
now.
I kind of love that. Like, you're going to discipline a kid. You don't say, "I'm going to I'm going to put them in timeout, or they're grounded, or they're going to get a spanking." No, it's
Time
time
for
for
some whippersnapping.
time for some
Whippersnap.
whippersnapping. Let's take something that's kind of an endearing term for children and turn it into something that's vaguely it's veiled violence against them, towards them,
Yes. I did
insinuated
think
violence.
during this segment also that I think I want a ketchup squirter that looks like a zapper now after Kevin. My zapper doesn't work here, and it just shoots ketchup. I was like,
What
okay, I kind of want
the
that now.
physics of this world is just something to behold. There is an episode. It's just another callback to another one. We did an episode with Stefan Reese from Art of Nintendo Power, and we spent we referenced this literally last week with Gabe too, but we spent like conservatively 15 minutes talking about the plumbing of Videoland because there's like a snake toilet. We're just confused with where this is the second episode in a row we've referenced it, but I don't care. I love that snake toilet bit. So we move on, and they take Game Boy's batteries away, and Game Boy is supposedly the most advanced computer in Videoland, according to Dr. Wiley.
At this
And
point, I would like to point out that this you said this came out September of 1990.
yes, I'll look it up
That's
again real quick.
this
Yes,
is
September 8th, 1990.
around this is around when Game Boy came out in the U.S. as
Mm.
well. So that's why everyone's talking about how it's this amazing computer. Game Boy's so amazing. Wow, Game Boy is unstoppable. So I'm sure that they probably got a note from Nintendo. Hey, are you guys still doing that cartoon? Could you throw in a couple things about Game Boy? And they're like, let's make him
I mean,
Slimer.
maybe Game Boy was getting, because it had been out for a year at the time this episode was released.
Well, that was in Japan.
No, North America, July 31st of
What?
89.
What? I got
Yeah.
my notes wrong. Apologies.
Unless, to be fair, I am getting that off of Wikipedia, so take that for what it's worth. That's just a easy, quick reference for
And release dates
dates.
back then are pretty hazy too, but
It's interesting. I'm always surprised when there's an exact date for old video games, because a lot of times it was like, it was March of one of these 2 years.
Yeah.
it was when
You
the
t- you-
shipment
you
came
pick.
in at KB Toys. Yeah.
Pretty
Remember, it was
much.
cold, so that's about all I got for you. Standing in
I would
line, it
love
was cold.
I would love
was-
to see that note on like a release date for Wikipedia, where it's like a description of when they got it, but not in anything in regards
It was
to
a
a date.
dark and stormy night.
Yeah.
It was the summer of '69. Uh, this was the first episode, by the way, that we've covered where they don't have licensed music. Sorry, it's not the first episode that didn't have licensed music, but from here on out, uh, after season 1, there's no more licensed music in the the Captain N episodes, which kind of bums me out because I missed that really bad generic filler music that we heard 2 to 3 times an episode. In all
you ever
honesty, it
know?
wasn't even that awful, but I did notice like the music in this episode in season 1, the music was a lot more. They definitely used music from the games themselves. Like you would hear like bits of Metroid music, you'd hear bits of like Kid Icarus music. In this one, it feels video gamey, but there's not really any callbacks to any of the games, at least not musically speaking.
They kind of
There
feel
was-
like songs that would be in the games, but they definitely are derivative and not the actual stuff.
Yeah, there was like the start music from Simon's Quest playing in
Mhm.
there. So I mean that's probably like something they do throughout, but I really like that rendition.
Yeah.
I'm very I that's one of the few things that this show does really well, is the music. The music's actually not awful in
But I
all of
made a
it.
note
Even
of that for this
yeah,
episode specifically. I was like, music's really good in this one.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. A lot of times it's either forgettable or like they just use licensed music, which by the way, Eric, you'd be surprised what they got here. So they've used some of the licensed music in here. They've used Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Twice they used Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Shakedown by Bob Seger. I Feel Good or I Got You by James Brown. Michael Jackson's Thriller. Born on the Bayou from Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Wow. I remember
They
White
all,
Wedding, Billy Idol White Wedding they played.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was one. You must have watched it when it was out then, because it's impossible to find versions
Oh, no
with
kidding.
the licensed music anymore. Like even on
Huh.
DVDs, you don't get the licensed music
I
at
can
all.
see that. Well, those are
So,
big. I mean, yeah, Thriller and stuff. Holy cow!
oh, imagine how much money that is. They have Stevie Wonder as well. Isn't She Lovely over
Wow.
Stevie
Huh.
Wonder? White Wedding by Billy Idol. Yep. And the Bonanza theme song from the TV show Bonanza.
Huh.
That's an
And
interesting
we'll
one.
have to one day we'll find a way to get Jeffrey Scott on the show, the original writer. But I still think that he writes in what songs he wants, where, especially since he did Muppet Babies, and that was like chock full of references.
Mm.
I did reach out to Jeffrey. Like no lie, I did reach out to him. He just turned me down. So I'm not surprised, but it was worth a shot. It was worth trying to get him on the show. So they moving on with the story, they turn off Game Boy's battery. They get rid of Game Boy's batteries, and as he shuts down, he's like defective unit, and it's like now he realizes he was being an asshole. And I'm kind of what it took you that long? You just try to shoot somebody with a fighter jet, but okay, buddy. So they they kind of walk away trying to figure out what they want to do with it. Duke the dog stays with Game Boy because it seems like they're trying to develop a kinship between the two of them.
Hmm.
And they send back Eggplant Wizard and King Hippo to get Game Boy, and Duke is guarding him, and Eggplant Wizard goes, I'm going to send my dandelion after him. And it literally is just a pun of a lion, a dandy lion.
Which is not a vegetable, by the way.
That's true.
You're right.
That's true. Good point. Just any plants now? Come on.
I mean,
The
a
consistency.
dandelion.
Yeah.
He throws tomatoes, and technically that's a fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not always just vegetables.
The thing that I actually impressed me the most in the writing of this episode was Dr. Wily is going to take, the plan is to take Game Boy and convert him into, a minion of Mother Brain. And he says he'll be her brainchild. And I was like, that is such an awesome name for Mother Brain's evil version of Game Boy, Brainchild. And then that they just used it for that one joke, and I was like, no, like that was such a good idea. Why did they
They
stick with
call
that?
him Game Brain. That was
Game
my
brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
just to put in perspective, like the first half of this episode, I took 2 pages of notes.
Hmm.
And then the last half, I have less than a page because the first half just made me laugh so hard between Mega Man not being a real boy anymore. He's back to being a robot, or always was a robot, apparently. The whole cheer up your sadness thing, the video chip cookies. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Dexter, if we do another Captain Enathon, we got to have video chip cookies. I don't know what that means. We got to let's find a recipe.
It's going to be hard with the chip shortage going on right now.
We got to find some way to put static in these.
We'll do our best.
Just make it like white and black, like sprinkle like white and black sprinkles on to make it look like static, like TV static. That could
Every
work.
time you try to take a bite, it's like,
And then you
check us
open your
out.
mouth and it's like Pop Rocks. You just hear,
nice. I'd eat that cookie.
right? That'd be kind of awesome, actually.
That's what you do. You just get Pop Rocks and then you got it.
Yeah.
Just stuff Pop Rocks inside a cookie.
I wonder if they'd still pop after that, like after you cook it and everything.
That's a good question.
What are you making in that oven? We're just making some cookies.
Our daughter's trying to sleep. What are you doing? The oven's about to take off.
Making
Or-
video
or-
chip cookies.
And
Put
then
real video chips in there. It's gonna blow
mega
up.
bedtime stories as well. We end the stream with a mega bedtime story or whatever.
What is it? It's just like War and Peace. It's just like mega. It's like really, really long.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Oh no! Here we go again.
Imagine someone reading a book and there's just someone color commentating like that, like every time. But it's like this really widey, like, oh no, here we go again. Gee
What did he-
willikers, I wasn't expecting that.
What was his catchphrase again? I forgot already.
Oh, it was
What a
concept.
What concept? Yeah. Every
Oh
5
my
minutes.
Oh, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. What a concept!
Huh? I just started.
So they it's just so they go to. They find out that Game Boy was captured by Mother Brain, and they go to Metroid. And the way they find out is that there is a flyer that King Hippo accidentally drops that for some reason Dr. Wily created. So they kind of have an idea that Game Boy is was captured by Mother Brain and is now over on Metroid. And so they go to rescue him, and Kevin's logic, or Princess Lana's logic, is like, well, you guys were right. He's, we shouldn't, why would we even bother? He was just such a problem. He's like, we're not doing it because we feel bad. We're doing it because he's Game Boy or whatever. Do you know exactly? Do you remember how he phrases it?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But you do it for Game Boy because Game Boy's amazing. Go out and get a Game Boy, everyone.
It kind of reminded me of the whole, even though this came out way before these movies, the family from the Fast and Furious movies. Like everything revolves around family.
Go for Game Boy.
Family. I'm Vin Diesel.
I'm surprised Vin Diesel didn't do anything for this, because didn't he do like a commercial for the Street Shark puppets or whatever?
Oh, wow, yeah, you're
You
right.
could watch.
This is Street Shark, and here's a Game Boy.
Street
Family.
Game Boy or
Family.
Street Game Boys. So they go to Metroid, and Mother Brain does her evil thing on Game Boy and turns Game Boy into Game Brain. It's now Game Brain, as Dr. Wily kind of
Nice,
says
sounds
it.
good.
And they go after the end team, but I thought this didn't make sense to me. They show up in a hologram, and then Game Boy spawns enemies while in a hologram that are real, and then they despawn their hologram.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And this gets to, I think, the biggest what the fuck moment of the entire episode, in my opinion. The Monster Mash spinoff.
Yep. I was gonna say, there's music. I was waiting to get to it.
Eric, what are your thoughts on the Monster Mash?
I mean, it's very funny that one of the lyrics says it's very unique. Or I'm like, it is not unique. This is literally a ripoff of Monster Mash.
It's the opposite of unique.
I mean, yeah, they lost the license music, but they're basically straight up ripping it off.
I was in so much shock. Sorry, Dexter, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that the funny thing is this has to be like one of the most ripped off songs ever. Is Monster Mash. I once listened to an entire podcast about all of the rip-offs of Monster Mash.
Really?
And the funny thing is, like, it all spawned from this person downloaded a bunch of like Monster Bash and like all these different covers, and was playing it at a Halloween party, and like everyone got mad, like, turn this off, please.
This is a new song, though. This is not the same song.
Yeah, it's different. Different. I know it all sounds like the same guy singing, but it's different. I swear.
Have you guys ever listened to Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast?
Oh no.
So do you know what I'm talking about?
cover.
Do you know where I'm going with this? So
Yes.
Nick Weiger is a comedian, and he actually is one of the hosts of the video game podcast. How did that get? Now it's called Get Played, but it started off on How Did This Get Played, and it's the whole riff on like bad video games thing. But he did a character. I'm blanking on the character's name, but his character is that he was the original writer of the Monster Mash in this fictional world,
Mhm.
and it didn't get picked up because his lyrics were just people weren't ready for it, and I quote. And his version is called the Monster Fuck. I'm going to see if I can find the lyrics real quick.
All the
Because
children plug your ears. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, here we go. Leo Carpati. That's Leo Carpati is the character's name, and the lyrics are. I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, his trousers dropped right to the floor. With his bottom bare, he ran to the door. He said, I said, Frankenstein, what's got it into you? He said, my dick is hard and I need to screw.
Wow.
And then it gets to the Monster Mash chorus. He did the fuck. He did the monster fuck. The monster fuck. It was a graveyard fuck.
I was gonna say, what did they rhyme it with? I was trying to think, like duck, buck, chuck. No, they rhymed fuck with fuck. They nailed it.
And then he goes, he did the fuck. The monster sucked and fucked. He did the fuck. He did the monster fuck. And then it goes on. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but it ends up with like, you know what? One more verse.
All right.
From my laboratory, I heard quite the racket. Deep in the castle, the vampires jacked it. The zombies were all fucked in the graveyard grass. Wolfman wolfed down Frankenstein's ass. And I'm not going to read the rest of it. There is two more verses. There's two more verses. And what's funny is Nick Weiger comes on the show comes on Comedy Bang Bang every year as Leo Carpazzi. He's like, I've written a new version of the song. I swear to you, it's not the same thing. I've written a new song. It is not the Monster Mash. And then he'll just change one lyric, and it's usually like he did the monster fuck part 2, and then that's it. I might put a content warning before I'm gonna like when I edit this in just a little bit, like, excuse me, listeners, there's a little bit
that's gonna make people more enticed to listen to this episode.
And the much more tame lyric that they use in the show is "Do the freak." Did you hear what they said?
Freak? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's not good.
It's not far from the song you just sang us.
Yeah, right.
No, it's really not. And I will have you know, I did not sing that. I recited it eloquently.
Yeah.
So the end team all ends up getting captured in some way, shape, or form, and they think that they're about to lose, and they can't win. And Duke decides for some reason he's the only one that's not attacked, and just runs in and tears out all the different wires from Game Boy, and that causes him to short circuit and explode. And am I missing anything? I feel like I just rushed through the last half of this episode. Or is there stuff that you guys want to talk about before we kind of wrap up the episode? Because there's not much more to it.
I was going to say that before they split up, before doing the freak,
No, it's
Kevin was
Monster
like,
Fuck, Dexter. Get it right.
Kevin was like, "Here, Lana, take my zapper. You might need it," when they split up. And I was like, that should be always, like, she should always have the zapper. He's got the controller on his belt buckle already. Like, let Lana have something. Let her have the zapper.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome. But the other thing that we hadn't pointed out, that when Game Boy became Game Brain, he turned into like a big muscular, like Frankenstein's monster. There was even like little digital stitches on his little screen, like a
I didn't even
Frankenstein's
notice
monster.
that. That's kind of genius.
Yeah. So.
What about
That's
you?
right, yeah. I thought that I don't know, I guess I haven't seen a whole lot of the episodes, but I thought like Metroid was pretty cool. Like they almost got some of the enemies right. What do they call they call them like the Rios or something like that? But I thought they were Leos, if I remembered, like the guys that fly down from the ceiling. They looked kind of like in. What's that?
I was like, you're not wrong, because they call Dr. Light Dr. Right in Captain M.
Oh, so. It's like the Japanese thing, yeah. Like the way it was written, it was at the L or the R, and yeah, like I like that. But they had, they just all looked. I mean, they fit in the world because it's such a zany world. But they give, I don't know, it's like I'm trying to think, was it like one of the main enemies? I can't remember all of a sudden.
Kraid.
Ridley, Riley, yeah, creators are. Yeah, I always mess up those names, but like had like a pompadour or something like that. The hair was like super bonkers. I was like, this is kind of weird, but I mean, I kind of appreciated some of the true to video game stuff, and like you were saying before with like Burger Time, I appreciated like those two parts the most because it was like, oh, it's like really like video games. Everything else kind of weird.
There's a handful of game worlds they go into where they get it right. Metroid is one they consistently do pretty well in. Even in other episodes, like they have Metroid music in the background. They have a lot of the enemies from the game, which I didn't even remember the names. I know what you're talking about with the ones that drop from the ceiling. There's actually in an older Captain N episode, you see Kevin exploring. I think it's actually the second to last episode of season 1 where Kevin's exploring the bowels of Metroid. And he looks up and all of a sudden he sees this monster coming down, and it's clearly one of those things because it's got like the little pincers in the front.
Yeah.
But then the design of it's got a huge nose, like a schnoz, and it chases after him. It's very strange.
That's
It
why I
kind of
love this
looks
show.
like that Looney Tunes caricature of that. I don't remember the actor's name. I feel bad because it's a caricature, but
Frosty the Snowman.
guy.
Yeah.
What's his-
You know what I'm talking about?
Groucho
Yes.
or whatever.
Is it
No, what's his
Groucho Marx?
name?
It
I
can't
don't
be.
know.
I
I
don't know.
don't know.
I know it's a caricature of a real like actor or like like an entertainment person back in the day,
Yeah.
but I don't.
Jimmy
I couldn't tell you
Durante.
what it is. What? Sorry,
Jimmy Durante.
that's what it is.
Ha-cha-cha.
Jimmy Durante. That's what it is. Now I'm going to look up what his actual nose looked like. Yeah,
Do
he
it.
did have a big nose.
Yeah.
He really had a huge nose. Holy crap!
How many video game inches is it?
Yeah. How many video inches?
How many video
inches there we
years
go.
does it take to travel to the end of Jimmy Durante's nose? I feel like Jimmy Durante's nose would be a band name,
Totally could be.
right? Every song begins with ah cha 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 cha.
Durante's
I gotta
nose
end
and the
with that.
boogers or something like that.
And the bugs.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I remember
god!
seeing that in the episode. Is like they reminded me of those enemies from Kid Icarus, where they like come in. You go in the bonus rooms and they come, and they look exactly like they're just like glasses and a nose basically. And
Yeah,
mustache.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, maybe that's what they were supposed to be. I don't know.
Like they get Metroid pretty well. They get Mega Man's world is very strange. There's a lot of references, like King Hippo's from Punch Out, but they don't really reference. They've referenced Punch Out a handful of times.
His land is like a city with a bunch of like boxing posters everywhere, like and gyms.
That's
like,
pretty much it. Though
it's shaped like a
that
big
does
boxing
lead.
glove.
I do think there's an episode with a genie in it where King Hippo becomes like the ruler over all. King Hippo and Eggplant Wizard become rulers over all of Videoland. They get their wishes granted, and I think it has the best joke in the entire show so far, where Mega Man's like, "Don't worry, I'm a pro at spotting booby traps," or something like that. And then a phone starts ringing, so Mega Man goes to pick it up, like it's a random like payphone in the middle of like King Hippo's world and Punch Out world. He picks it up, and you hear Eggplant Wizard on the other side go, "Hello, booby, this is a trap." And then a fist comes out of the phone and punches him in the face. It's
Mega Man.
that's the
You
only
can't do
time.
anything right.
That's the best joke in the whole show. I really think that's like legitimately. I laughed out loud so hard at that moment because I was just not expecting.
Yeah.
Like I was not expecting that.
Neither was he.
Yeah. Hello, booby. This is a trap.
Now, I don't know if it was intentional on this episode or not, but something I laughed out loud at was Eggplant Wizard tries to stop them by shooting a vegetable net of green beans.
It was his
string bean net.
String bean net. That's what it is. String bean net.
And it ends up catching Dr. Wily and, comical like, "Arr!" and he's stuck in the net. But then as soon as they defeat Mother Brain and they're like, like Metroid's gonna explode.
Abandoned planet.
And then Dr. Wily just runs away with the net
With
on
the
him.
net still on him. You see, they keep the net on him too. It's not like it disappears. They keep the net on. He's just like, fuck this, and just pulls it
So I
out.
was like, wait, what did that net even do? Like,
Mild inconvenience.
I'm
Just have it on you.
claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I'm claustrophobic. I don't understand how nets work. Oh, I can still breathe and see through this thing? Oh, okay, I'm fine. Let me get out of here now. That's kind of what it felt like. Game Boy blows up. It takes Metroid with him. They go back to the Palace of Power, and he saves the day, and that's pretty much it. Oh, they give him a hat. They give him
Yep.
a blue hat that he wears
But
backwards because it's the
pretty
90s,
sure
and you
that
have to wear hats back.
gotta have Tude. Pretty sure that hat never comes back, by the way.
There we go.
Nice.
Now, this hat that listeners can't see because I don't ever post a video. This hat is broken because my dog ate the snap part, but it's an awesome Legend of Zelda hat
Nice, yeah.
that he ate the snap on. The only other hat I have here with me does not fit the occasion, but I'm going to wear it anyway. It's a Merry Christmas hat.
We don't know when they're going to listen to this episode.
It's going to be in July, and the back of it says "ho ho." So there we go. There we go.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
that's the big finale as he turns his hat backwards. He's like, "Yeah, cool."
It's like
Game Boy.
it's like what is that movie? What's that Sylvester Stallone movie? Over the Top.
Yeah.
You see Over the Top.
Yep.
That movie has one of the most insane scenes I've ever seen in my life, because it was there's moments in that movie that's filmed like a mockumentary where it's the first time I've ever seen something like, I mean, I've seen mockumentary style filmmaking and shows like The Office and all that other stuff before this, but this movie came out in 82, and I had never really seen like a mockumentary style moment in like, especially in like a macho quote unquote action movie. And Sylvester Stallone standing in front of his truck, and he's like, well, my hat is like a switch, so when I flip it, and it makes me feel like, and he's standing in front of his truck, and he kind of like tepidly looks back behind him. He's like, it makes me feel like, tepidly looks back, knocks on the side of his truck. Look, my truck. And he has this big smirk on his face, like he's so proud of himself that he's like, I can turn into a truck when I flip my hat like a switch.
I'm 8 years old.
That's what it feels like. I feel like 8 when I'm wearing this Christmas hat, though, because the brim, look how weird the brim of this thing looks. It's like not bent. It's like bent up top here, but then it's flat on the front. It's not. It doesn't go like most other hats do. It's very strange.
It's designed for snow.
It's
optimal for getting snow off your bill.
for shoveling snow. But that's pretty much how the episode ends. They rescue Game Boy. Game Boy rescues them after Duke rescues Game Boy. Game Boy doesn't really say anything, so you don't know if like what type of character he really is. We're going to find out, I guess, in the next episode with Queen of Apes, which is going to be episode 2 of season 2. But that's pretty much how this episode ends. So final thoughts from both of you. What are your final thoughts on the episode? Dexter, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm looking forward to more of season 2. It's weird because it feels different, but it also, I feel like Dorothy Middleton's done a good job as the new story editor, making it still feel the same for the most part.
She only did 3 episodes in the entire run, though.
What?
And
that's a story editor. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, she written by at least, we won't see her again until season 3.
Wow. Okay.
So she does the first episode of season 2, and then we won't see her again until season 3. The next month's episode, Queen of Apes, was written by David Ehrman and Sean Roche. Or Roche. I'm not really quite sure. Well, one of the reasons for the writing switch, though, was that Saban Productions did season 1 only of the show, and then season 2, it seems to be like it was done by either, I think Deke Animation City did season 2, Saban Productions did season 1. And the distributor of it ended up being a company called Reicher Entertainment. I don't know if that's, I don't know. That's something else. It's this is a weird rabbit hole. I just literally clicked on Reicher Entertainment. Its predecessor it's now defunct. It went defunct in 99, but the predecessor of Reicher Entertainment was Bing Crosby Productions. So that means there is a straight line between Bing Crosby and Captain N the Game Master. It's 1 degree of separation. Yeah. Bing Crosby, Captain N, nothing in between. Who would have thought? But okay, yeah. So, Eric, what about you? Final thoughts for the episode?
call me corny, man. I love this game or something like that. I don't know. That's what that was like. You were talking about early on. You're like, I wonder what little sound bit I'd want to open up with. But there's that bit where you're talking about where
Yeah.
they do the corn hole thing. There's a hole and they put the corn in it and they blow
Yeah,
it up.
yeah.
He's all, call me corny, man, but I love this game or whatever. No, it's corny. It's a corny show overall, but like I really dug it. I haven't seen it for such a long time, and I really did like my main parts that I dug. Of course, was the Metroid bit and the Burger Time thing, just because the actual video gamey stuff in it. But there are so many like there's goofy puns and silly things. I mean, you pointed out most of the stuff that I was going to talk about. Oh, that's pretty much what I was going to say. But there was something on here. Oh, yeah, like where Game Boy picks up the eggplant wizard and starts like shaking him or whatever. He's like,
Put me down. I'm an eggplant, not a squash.
or just those little things. Like I was like, man, it's so corny, but you gotta love it. It's just, yeah, it's classic
It's-
'80s stuff, early '90s
It's
stuff.
dumb fun. It's just
Yeah.
dumb, and it makes me smile. Dexter and I talk about it every time we do an episode. The week before recording is Captain N week, and like I watch each episode like 3 times in preparation for recording. Mainly just like one is just a watch through. I don't want to worry about anything. I just watch it through. Second time is my notes, where I write down like a 2 or 3 pages of notes of just stuff I found funny or trying to remember what the storyline is. And then the third time is just the morning of. Like I just watch it one more time just as a refresher right before we start recording. And I look forward to it every time because it's like a time to sit down and either subject my wife or my daughter to the show and see how they react to it. Or Dexter, have you subjected your wife to this show at all?
No, I think it would play out like the scene we had that we were discussing before. Like
This is a failed marriage. You should
No, all seriousness though, no, I don't think I could do that to her. I think she would. um, a little behind the curtain, she took me to the physical retail limited run store yesterday as like an early Father's Day gift. So she supports my my video game stuff. Even if if you ask her what Super Mario Brothers is, she's like, "Yeah, it's on Nintendo 64, right?" Like that's the only Mario Brothers she thinks exists. So
It's a good one.
but yeah, it's a good one.
It is a
I
good
tried.
one.
I did get out my old CRT VCR in one thing that I had for my college dorm room to watch it on. I got that out and to watch it on the original VHS, but they were cheap. There's no commercials. There's nothing on this thing other than the episode starts up. It tells you not to copy it or the FBI is going to bust down your door. And that's pretty much it. But I put it on. My son was in the room. He was like, "What's this?" I was like, "It's a cartoon that I used to watch." And then he was like, he walked away.
He's like, I'm going to go do chores.
I don't care, Dad.
I'm going to do something more adult.
Now, you mentioned off mic, Dexter. I think this would be a good way to kind of close us out before we do plugs and everything. You mentioned you were considering reading off the back of the box of your VHS. What does the back of your VHS say about this episode?
All right. By the way, there's a picture of Mother Brain picking up Duke with one of her tentacles. I don't remember that happening, if that happens in this episode.
I do remember because that's when Duke is trying to rescue Game Boy, and that's when it happens. But I did notice, actually, sorry, one thing I forgot to mention, Mother Brain uses her tentacles a lot in this one to pick people up, because when Dr. Wily is working on Mega Man, she is holding Dr. Wily up around his waist with her tentacles to let him hover over Mega Man and do his thing, like make not Mega Man, sorry, over Game Boy and make Game Boy evil.
That's right. You're right. She is using those more. Which, by the way, I didn't notice until I drew Mother Brain that like those weird things sticking out of her dome, that's where the tentacles come out of. They look like pins or like these weird tubes that stick out. Like they're almost like shirt sleeves for her little tentacles to come out of.
Tentacle sleeves.
Yeah. All right. So according to this Buena Vista Home Video produced VHS, the description of the episode we watched is: young Captain N and his N team try to help rescue Princess Lana's father, King Charles. I was like, what is Charles? Who has been banished by mean Mother Brain to the dark world of
That old
Metroid.
meanie.
That's not true. He wasn't banished to Metroid. He thought he was still in the mirror world. But
Huh.
but complications occur when a well-meaning Game Boy computer tries to help but messes up in quotes instead.
I
22
want to
minutes.
know at any point, how did Game Boy try to help until
Yeah.
the end? At any point, what
Yeah.
was helping by trying to shoot a missile, like bring a plane into existence? Don't What world did he travel to? I don't freaking know. Top Gun? Who knows?
Yeah, I was
Topical.
thinking about that. Yeah.
Topical gun. Um, that was a bad pun too. But
I heard it's good.
like, I don't know. This episode's wild. I loved it. Watch it, listeners. If we have not convinced you listeners to go watch an episode of Captain N yet, you're really missing out. It's all for free on YouTube. It costs you nothing except some annoying commercials that you have to click through every about 4 minutes.
And they're
But
not quite timed with this commercial breaks, which is kind of
they're not.
unfortunate because it's like right before I'm like, oh, a commercial break's coming. So like you get skipped through the ad and then it's like, na 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 na, fades out, comes back. It's like, oh, it was like, you probably could have timed it better, but yeah. Let's think about that though with the Game Boy thing though. Like, was he trying to save us from something? He was trying to kill Kid Icarus. He's like, this guy's annoying. Did he do something to Mega Man? He's just trying to make our lives easier, is what it is.
Maybe he's
I
from the
think so.
future and he just wants to take out Kid Icarus because he knows he's going to turn evil or something.
Yeah.
Because he's too, and I quote, Kid Icarus hates that he's too small a kiss.
A kiss, yeah. Of
Yeah.
course, a kiss, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Captain N for Smash.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's a great call. I've never heard of that. Yeah.
That would be, I mean, who
And then just
owns
do the character
owns the
designs for the
IP?
different skins. I mean, they've already got Mega Man. They've got Simon now. They've got Pit. Just change their
I wonder
skins.
who owns the IP to it. Like, Wildbrain is the company that has all of the videos up on YouTube, so I guess they own the copyright to it. And I don't know if Nintendo would be willing to work with it. It'd be kind of awesome. I would love if they could take the like make a DLC for like one of the Metroid games and put Levi Stubbs' voice in over top of it as like a
Brain.
DLC. Mother brain. Just like find a way to use an AI to like take his speech patterns and make it so he can say stuff as Mother Braid in a Metroid game as like a $2 DLC or something like that.
Isn't that what they're doing with Star Wars? They did that with Luke. And they've done that with Darth Vader recently. They've got the AI
Mhm.
voices.
It's a little
crazy.
creepy they can do that
Yeah,
in all honesty.
totally.
A little
No,
terrifying.
as accurately as they do.
Yeah, it's nuts. But all right, that will wrap it up for this episode of the Still Loading podcast for Captain N Season 2, Episode 1. Thank you all for listening. Dexter, Eric, thank you so much for joining me. Let's get some plugs out there. Is there anything that you all would like to plug? Dexter, we'll start with you.
Yeah, mine's always straightforward. Mine's just my Instagram and my Twitter. It's just my name, DexterMorrill. You'll find me on there sharing my artwork. I also teach art, so I like to share my student stuff every now and again as well. I'm always talking about video game stuff like this. And also, before Eric does his thing, I would like to thank him for coming on as well. He and I worked together back when Retroware TV was a website. If any listeners out there remember Retroware, I think they're under new ownership and they're having a comeback later this year. But
Yes, Screenwave Media owns them now.
yes, that's it. So, but yeah, I've always enjoyed Eric's Let's Get show, so you can check that out on YouTube as well. And I know you do some
I took
awesome music
I
stuff
took
too.
his topics. You're taking his plugs.
I know.
No, go for it. Thank you. I got nothing. I was just gonna be like, I don't do nothing no more.
But no, seriously, Eric, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us. I last and certainly not least, is there anything you would like to plug though? I know your YouTube channel you haven't been doing much with recently, but is there anything else you'd like to plug? Anything you want to shout out? Any social media?
Oh no, not really. No, I'm pretty much like a recluse on the social media, and I actually was thinking about coming back to YouTube this year, and then I was like, oh no, I got too much stuff to do, so studying Japanese and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, my show's out there. It's GOEMON047. Like that's the easiest way to find me on YouTube. Let's Get is just a terrible name because it shows up under anything like Let's Get Physical or anything else. I was like, I was not thinking ahead of time. So there's that. And yeah, I guess I did have some music on Bandcamp under terrible name Plasta and Skizzle. Yeah,
Plasta
that's
and
you
Skizzle.
mentioned
I like
Skizzle, but Plasta is how it sounds like, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, I've not been doing much there either. I make music, I just don't put it up anymore. So maybe someday I'll come back. I don't want to say
Hey,
I'm gone. I'm just
it's
taking a
like
long ass break.
if you like doing it, you come back, you find time to do it. If not, like also like especially with the way the internet is now, I never begrudge any content creator or creative person to be like, fuck this, I don't want to deal with this
Right.
anymore.
Totally.
uh it's a mess out there. But as usual for me, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Still Loading Pod on all of them. If you want to email me, you can email me stillloadingcontact@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, you can give it a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or whichever podcasting app you use. That helps more people find the show. If you want to support it monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/stillloadingpod. For $1 a month, you'll get the episodes a few days early at a higher bitrate, as well as access to a patron exclusive Discord. For $5 a month, you'll get all of that plus 2 bonus episodes a month. I think at the time of this, oh, actually, I mean, this isn't going to be out until early July. So there's going to be at least one more bonus episode coming out before then. But at the time of this, my most recent bonus episode was I talked about my experience as being a first time panelist at Thy Geekdom Con earlier this year, which was fun. And the episode before that, I talked about why I hate NFTs so much. So that was fun too. And that's all the most important shout out. I can't believe I almost forgot the most important shout out. The Bit by Bit Foundation. The Bit by Bit Foundation is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to put video games and video game consoles in the hands of kids receiving inpatient care at hospitals. So if you want to support them, go to bitbybitfoundation.org and consider donating. And that will do it. Thank you all so much for listening. Dexter, Eric, seriously, thank you all. I love doing this series with you. Eric, it was nice to meet you. I'm happy
nice
that
to
you
meet you.
on with the show. Hope to have you back on, even if it's not Captain N. If you ever just want to bullshit about games, I'd love to have you on.
Sweet.
Dexter, my co-host with the Mo host, thank you once again.
Yes, I'll think of you the next time I play video games.
That's for those who don't remember, that is our sign off now. So thank you all for listening. I will think of you all the next time I play video games.